Rebel Buddha here. Welcome back to the show. Today we have a special guest, Eric Roberts and Eliza Roberts, super movie star. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank
Before we
you.
get started, I got to plug our favorite book, The
Okay.
Natural Child. Why I have this particular copy is it's narrated by Keaton Simons, my favorite singer-songwriter, her son, my stepson, and great singer-songwriter. And The Natural Child by Jan Hunt. Fantastic book. Everybody should get it. You were saying?
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So what have you been up to lately?
Oh God! You know how I answer that question to people I don't know,
How?
and they sometimes take it as rude, but it's not. I say, "Do you know imdb.com?"
You might as well just look that up.
Yeah, go to IMDb because it can tell you better than I can about me,
Right on.
unless you're talking to her.
She's your manager.
Yeah, she's the boss. Yeah.
So I want to talk about some of your movies from the 80s that I really am a big fan of. I'm a
Yeah.
huge fan of Star 80. It is the most terrifying film, and I want to ask you how you got into that character.
I love that movie. I think that's the best docudrama ever made. I'm so proud to be in it. Bob Fosse was just a great movie maker, and I got in that film by audition. I auditioned many times, and then he finally offered it to me while I was in the room with him. About the fifth time I read for him, he said, "Do you want to make a movie?" Sure. And we spent the next 9 months together pretty much every day.
Working on the film.
Yeah.
The deeper part of that question though is such a good question. It was one of the first things I asked Eric also, and we just did a special for 2020 about Star 80. It just aired a few days ago, and it was like he channeled that character because that whole wannabe guy who is incredibly controlling and has to own everything and otherwise it has to cease to exist. It's so far from Eric. There are other elements of the character that are more part of him. It's so far from Eric. If he walks into, whether it was the mansion or like we're supposed to go somewhere with David O. Russell today, if he walks into a place that's very fancy and he doesn't necessarily feel he fits in, he doesn't care. But Paul Snyder was desperate about that, and Eric captured that incredibly. That's what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he has any idea how. I don't know how. I don't know if he found something in him where that's a time that he does feel that way. I've never seen him like that in real life at all. I mean, he's totally relaxed in any situation. He's just like, whatever. What did you use for that? Because it's fascinating. There's other people who have that in them, but you really don't. What did you use for that?
At the time when I made that movie, I was also in a very personal battle for my short-term memory because I had just been a year away from a horrible automobile accident where I was in a coma. And I came up with a lot less brain power than I went down with. So I was in that personal battle of that. So the desperation that you see in Paul Snyder is coming through Eric's desperation about himself and his ability. And it blended well. It blended well. Time and place, it blended well. And Bob Fosse was a great leader. Oh my goodness, You could make up a question. He would have a real answer.
Because one of the clips in 2020, you haven't seen the 2020 yet, was the moment when you say, "Hey, say hi to Telly," and Hefner says to you, "Who?" And you said, Telly Savalas. We're good friends, and you knew right in that moment that you weren't good friends, and Telly Savalas didn't know who Paul was. And the desperation in your face everywhere, plus the way he shot it was just so great because you could see the jaw working and everything. And I just, I've never seen you. I mean, I've seen you make up stories for press before and stuff, but I've never seen you need to be believed in a lie like that. Like, you don't care if you forget famous people that you know. You forget you know them. They have to remind you that you know them, much less you making up and pretending that you know people you don't know. So it's really interesting. Really, you're right to love that one.
How much did you have to work out for that?
Not a lot.
It was natural.
I work out every day anyway.
Okay.
But I'm not a weightlifter. I'm and I do lots of sit-ups. I do lots of lower back. And now that I'm old, I do lots of elliptical. But no, I think I only weighed like 150 pounds in that movie, and I gained 10 pounds. I gained weight for that movie.
Because like the smirk on your face when you're doing the push-ups with the mustache, it's
Yeah.
just like you can see. It's like you look insane.
Oh, it's so
Totally. It's so captured something. But even if you look at Eric's physique in Best of the Best, Best of the Best 2, especially Best of the Best 2, or Final Analysis, it's just kind of natural. It's kind of the way he's built.
I mean, in Best of the Best, that's probably the best shape you were ever in.
No, the best shape I was ever in was in Final Analysis.
Okay.
And the second best shape was Best of the Best Part 2. And those were and then there was Heaven's Prisoners.
Yeah.
There have been some movies I've been ripped up,
Yeah,
I've been ripped
that's
up a
true.
bunch. But yeah, it's up there.
And you're working with trainers, and for the martial arts movie, you're working with them every day. What's
Well,
that like?
I had the Reed brothers.
Simon Ray and Philip Ray.
And Philip and Simon. And they're just fantastic martial artists, fantastic guys, fantastic leaders, fantastic teachers. And what I didn't know, they taught me.
And you were in martial arts before that, before the movies came out and
I
stuff?
had been, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's been something, a part of you.
I've always loved it, yeah. But I'm not as good as they made me look like I am, though, okay?
Okay.
Okay. I'm not Hercules.
So everything's perfectly choreographed. Everything is perfectly...
It's like a dance. It's really fun to do. It's like a dance.
Editing.
So what about when you get like kicked in the face and stuff? How do they film stuff like that?
Sometimes you get kicked in the face.
You really do.
But sometimes it's just you pass a foot in front of the face at the same time that you move the head. Boom, boom.
So
boom.
it's this far
So
away.
It can be even this far away. But when it passes the face, you say, wow, I got it.
And those sweats just spraying off perfectly.
Right. It's all fake.
It's, you have a stunt coordinator who's like a choreographer. You have actors who are really good at that. Eric's really good at that. You have a DP and director who know exactly what angle, and then it's edited a certain way, and then sound effects and everything Foley.
What people don't
really
realize
amazing.
is how slow you have to go to make it look good.
Yeah.
If you go as fast as you would go in a real fight, first of all, real fights last 10 to 15 seconds, tops, they're done.
Mm-hmm.
A movie fight lasts, what, a minute? It's crazy. It's way elongated. It's way exaggerated. You slow everything down. Like get hit, you throw your head this fast. Oh, you don't go as fast as it would go. It would go so fast, it'd be too fast for the camera or the drama. It wouldn't be as much fun to watch.
So
you slow everything way down.
And then they speed it up.
Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Yeah.
Because in Bruce Lee's films, they would slow everything down.
Right, yeah.
Exactly.
Because it was way too fast.
Well, that was all our teacher was how he did it.
Did the Reed brothers, did they work with Bruce Lee on films and
Oh,
stuff?
no.
But okay.
No, he was way before their time.
Right, that's like years.
They're
10
young
years
guys.
before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they were young guys.
Stop.
So I still have Star 80 in my head so strong, and it's just so, it really stays with you a long time, and there's a lot of lessons in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many lessons, and that movie hit me so hard is because I went to school with a Playboy Playmate 2015. Like, she went to my high school,
Oh, wow.
and like I even dated her a little bit, and like I saw what she did to every guy in the school, and like destroyed everyone. Like, she destroyed everyone emotionally, right?
Yeah.
And you watch that movie, and you see that like beauty and lust and desire will make someone insane.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been looking back, and I've just been like sitting with it and meditating on that film, and it's just like, you almost don't want a relationship after you watch that movie.
Well, it's rough, buddy. That is
What
rough.
was it? I just saw a film recently where it was the first time I've ever seen somebody convincingly say that she was done with relationships. Because usually people say that and they just mean they need to take a break from
Right.
some miserable thing that happened and fear of the next miserable thing. But this was written so brilliantly because it basically said, come on, what always happens? And it really talked about everything from that kind of relationship, which is based on basically addiction. And compulsion and obsession and all that, which is incredibly uncomfortable and eats your life. It could be anything from that to just like a solid marriage where it's been going on for a long time and you're on each other's nerves and whatever. And basically she was just saying relationships are bad. And it was interesting because it was the most convincing argument I've ever heard for that. I mean, we're built, look at her, you know, animals were built to mate and pair and do all that. But you're right, and it's very controversial, especially these days, because a lot of, in the 2020, interviewing a lot of playmates and stuff, who really had the power? See, women felt overpowered by the men and manipulated by them and exploited by them, but then, well, I mean, wasn't that working the other way too?
They could just drop down to their knees and beg.
Yeah.
So who actually does have the power?
Yeah, who has the power? I think that there's power and an abuse of power on both sides, and there's pain on both sides.
Well, I find the real story to be Hugh Hefner's life story. What he came from, what he achieved, and where he ended up, and how and why. And how he died in that mansion, but with the caveat when he sold it, that whoever bought it, he got to live there till he died. They bought the house and said, yes, he can. And yes, he did. Wow, that's far out. That is far out, dude. But his whole life was such an American dream in so many ways. And it ended as a real American nightmare. I mean, oh my God. He was, broke.
Was he?
And he was alone. And he was, if you don't have the cash, they don't hang out. And that's the story. His story is the story.
It's the most interesting, one of the most interesting person
what
ever.
What a story that is.
I actually was watching the movie and I came up with, I'm going to have the Rebel Buddha model of the year 2019 this year. I already have like 4 models to choose from my catalog, so
Right.
it's up to the fans now to choose. I think I already made my decision though.
Cool.
Sure. But then you're going to let the fans interact. What about, so the girl from 2015, where is she now?
Well, she got in trouble, dude.
Doing what?
Well, she was at LA Fitness and she took a picture of someone, like a woman in the bathroom, like in the shower,
Right.
and she drew pictures all over it and body shamed this old woman.
Body shamed her?
Yeah,
You can't do
I'm
that.
so stupid, right?
You can't do that to people.
So then she got sued for I think everything she had,
Oh my
and then
she had to pay up?
Yeah, she lost
Wow!
everything. So,
What a drag!
yeah, so she was like. So it goes to show, I think everyone who goes through Playboy, everyone who goes through that kind of industry, they are on top.
Yeah.
For a moment,
minute.
but you're gonna get murdered.
Yeah.
You're gonna get sued for everything you got,
Yeah.
and then you're gonna just have to move to the Midwest and be forgotten.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's exactly. That there's not too many alternatives.
Let's actually have a question for you. So, people like Rebel Without a Cause, James Dean, people like that who get all this superstar fame and then they end up dying. Really young lives. You seem to have bypassed all of this and have had a really long career. What is the secret to that?
Well, the first half was right place and right time, and I was ready. And then came a blind slump. I didn't know where I was or what I was or why I was. And then came my rebirth personally, and it not long after I met her. And then when I made her the boss, when I trusted her totally, is when everything started to change for me. Because besides the fact she's a genius, she is also the kindest, most logical person you've ever spent 10 minutes with in your life, no matter who you are.
I'm realizing that right now.
And so that's what I needed, and that's what she gave me, and I gave her balls. So we made the trade, and
Balls?
and it's worked.
Okay. Yeah, can we sit up a little? That's good. 'Cause I
More
feel so
more
slow.
more courage when I say that.
Oh, okay.
More courage when I say that.
So without her, you could have been just in the gutter and dead already.
Well, I don't want to be melodramatic.
Gutter
in
and
the
dead.
gutter.
That's interesting.
I'd have been in the gutter.
they have
I
gutters?
don't think I
No.
would have been, but I would not have been happy because I only discovered what happy is a little bit after. I mean, we were married forever. We were married like almost 30 years, and so it was about the 8th or 10th year in there somewhere. I realized that I will never. I'll do everything I can to make this all the things it is for me, for it, and I live up to it most of the time.
Wow, that's really challenging. But it's 100%. There's just no doubts in your head.
Well, not to be corny, my wife is my hero, and when you get to hang out with your hero, sleep with your hero, eat with your hero, and do business with your hero. So that end of it is for you heroic. You feel confident. You feel good, and I feel that's how I got happy. That's how I got happy. As happy as I get.
Do you think you've reached with all your career goals being achieved and things like that, do you think you've reached a plateau of happiness?
I have no idea. How can I know that? I hope not. I hope I get that mushroom happy we all strive for forever.
That's short-lived.
That rings a bell with you, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, sure does. Sure does. Been there like at least 50 times.
Wow.
Yeah.
Busy guy.
Oh yeah. So do you think that, like for instance, I think about the Beatles a lot and things like that, because they had everything they ever wanted. They were the biggest superstar band that ever lived, and they still had to go to India and practice yoga and meditation and meet the Maharishi. So do you think that these things that you've gotten actually create long-lasting happiness, or is it like a happiness for a bit and then you get dropped down?
You draw an analogy being in the Beatles. Okay, only half of them are still here.
Mm-hmm.
That's its own tragedy. The other half of that is, you said in your words they had to go to discover that. Okay, yeah, everybody told them what they thought they wanted to hear. Every day, all day, their whole lives, and they realized it. So they had to go for something more. So they went after a spiritual element.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they found it or not is a whole other story. But that's what they're after, away from anybody who would just yes, because that's how they lived.
Mm-hmm.
My wife does not yes me. My wife has yesed me in her life. But my wife does not yes me. I can say that with absolute conviction, and but she's gentle and she's kind, which I appreciate.
So she's almost like your guru.
Well,
I guess gurus bust you too for stuff.
I like hero.
Hero, I like that.
Like hero.
Muse, but whatever. I think you ask a really good question, because we're all surrounded by people who have all of our dreams come true in their lives, and yet look what happens. There's suicide, there's depression, there's addiction, there's all kinds of stuff, and everyone seems to have their fair share of that. Everyone, but I think that basically it really does come down to, and maybe that's what the Beatles were doing, going and visiting the Maharishi, whatever. It comes down to mortality. I think a lot of things boil down to death and how really short we're here. And so what happens when you realize you're going to live on, but you won't be there to experience it? The Beatles are going to belong to people for hundreds of years to come. And in the scheme of things, probably maybe it's 250 years, which is very short actually, but a lot longer than they're going to be here. So George got cancer and John Lennon was murdered because of his fame. So there's no escaping. So you feel like you've escaped everything because you've escaped poverty and everything that goes along with that. You're able to take care of your children and give them whatever they may need. You can certainly get a table at a restaurant. You can buy your groceries. You've escaped that feeling of failure, but the joke's kind of on you, because you never made the great escape. Because if you're going to get sick, you're going to get sick. If some nutcase is going to kill you, that's going to happen. And no matter what, you will not be here forever. So you still will have to depart. And facing those realities and living in a bubble that kind of makes a promise to prevent the pain of those realities, and finding out that that's a broken promise has its own kind of devastation.
I think as peeps, we all know we're going to die. We all know in our minds we're going to die. I don't think any of us believe it.
Well, I
It's not real.
think about it all the time.
We all do.
And I feel like most people don't want to think about it, but in yoga, I teach yoga. I've been a yoga teacher for 10 years.
Yeah, that's great.
We face the truth. We face the hard things that we have to face.
Yeah.
So I am now just going, this is why I'm doing the show, is because we're going to die in a way. So I'm like, let's document all the great things that we want to document.
Right.
Who knows who's going to watch this in the next 15 to 25 years on YouTube.
Yep.
And it will be here. And
Will you teach me yoga?
of course,
I knew he was going to say
we can teach some yoga after this.
Cool.
I'll teach you yoga for 15, 20 minutes. I'd love to do that.
For the rest of my life?
Today. You can use my YouTube videos to practice.
Okay.
Or I could come back next week.
Okay.
This is good.
And so that's why I make my art. That's why I put up thousands of stickers and do graffiti and be a little crazy, is because everything's so impermanent. Let's enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's absolutely, and there's certain things that get in the way of that. That's such a good philosophy. I know that when you're struggling with, how are you going to feed your squirrels, or how are you going to feed your grandchildren, it challenges that commitment to just enjoying it, because you're looking for security and a feeling of safety. But I think, listen, there's things that people try all kinds of philosophies to cope with certain realities. Like we have a son, Keaton Simons, who is definitely, arguably, so incredibly fantastic and has such presence and star quality that it challenges even some of the much more established people that he's toured with, who get up on stage and say, I can't come close to what Keaton does. It's said to him so many times he never wants to hear it again, by all kinds of amazing people who are like, it was this is going to be your year, you're going to be a huge star, how come you're not? So that's a really hard thing to deal with, because you're constantly scrutinizing every move you've made, every word you've said to anybody. You talk about Eric's career, it's similar. Yeah, what happened was we realized there are out there in the world, there are always hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, thousands and thousands of shows being made, and thousands to millions of people talking about who should we put in these shows. So this is going to come his way. It's just a matter of accepting it. And it does come his way, and we accept it. However, because we're still here and we're professionals and we're weathering all kinds of changes in the economy of the world and in our industry as well as all industries, the truth is that doesn't give you security. We don't have security. There are other people who work a lot less who have, for sure, security, so they don't even remember what that feels like. And so, these issues are things that people rarely talk about. And you have to kind of just streamline it for yourself and make it simple. Our thing is just keep working. It's the only thing we can think of. For some people, it's a heavy spiritual belief. For some people, it's something very destructive like drugs. Look at Bruce Springsteen, who's just come out with this new documentary, which just feels like a big apology. It's him saying, I'm still working on getting rid of the destructive parts of myself. If you're someone I love or I'm close to, I can guarantee you I have at some point hurt you. That's a message we all could say that. Certainly all parents could say that, right? Mm-hmm. And you deal with it with yoga. he wants to deal with it with yoga, or he wants to do yoga for whatever reason. Why do you want to do yoga? I think it's great, but why?
Because I think the machines at the gym are not that good for me.
Yeah, he's right.
Simple.
That's true.
You know what I tell people why I do yoga? It makes me feel better.
Yeah, that's good. See, and
That's all I
then, but
need.
the question for me is, when I see people feel better with something that their idea of better is to not face reality, that scares me. If someone feels better because they're doing opiates, then to me that doesn't count.
Well, that's something else. That's not hard work.
Right.
That's just a cop out.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Yoga takes effort.
Well,
It's challenging.
Let's not name call, because half our nation is the opiates.
Oh, I'm gonna name call. Thanks.
It's not really their fault.
No, it's not fault. It's just that I'm not calling the users a bad name. I'm calling the actual drugs a bad name.
Right.
Yeah. Careful, that's the knee that I fell on. Oops, but that's still okay. Well, anyway, yeah, and then also, there's certain things that are rampant right now, social phobias, and people now, because we're so disconnected and very rarely sitting on a couch together.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we've done a lot of podcasts, a lot of them have been remote. So, like, my daughter has her bake shop, Pie Bake Shop, P-I Bake Shop, and it's so popular with everybody she's at the farmers market in Studio City every Sunday, and then she's online and she delivers 7 days a week. But for instance, she's offered constantly to do TV shows, appearances, whatever, and she just hates the camera. She won't do it. She barely posts, and her website went down, and she kind of was like, why bother? And it's about to be Thanksgiving. So now that's a fear in her that definitely is keeping her way less safe.
Let's talk about this, because I have a lot to say about this,
Yeah.
actually. So I am 100% shameless now. It took a long time to get here.
Promoting yourself.
Yeah, now I do
good for you.
not care at all. I don't care about rejection. I don't care about people saying no. I'm amazed you guys are here. This is great. So there's this speaker I listen to, and maybe you should turn her on to the speaker, Gary Vaynerchuk. He's an entrepreneur.
Vaynerchuk, spell it.
Oh, I know about him.
Vaynerchuk.
Okay, just like it sounds.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's the reason why we're doing this. He goes, work 12 to 15 hours a day. Crush it. Go to an event every day to get 2 new contacts. Do a podcast to meet new people. Do a clothing line. When you have time, go to Goodwill and do recycled fashion and sell it on eBay. There is no excuses for anyone. This is the most productive time in the world because we have smartphones. Yeah, so we do everything ourselves. He says it's up to you. Start your YouTube channel. Go hard on every Instagram. Go hard on every platform. Yeah. Oh, and this is where it ties in. He goes, the reason why people are not doing what I say is because they're insecure of what people are going to write in the comment section.
Right.
That's it.
Well, that's not our problem. That's not
yeah.
Is that your issue, Mrs. Roberts?
No, but there is a thing. Like when people have said, like when David Duchovny says to me all the time, you should be writing more than emails, you should be writing. I'm sitting here thinking, so I have to be trying to sell something that I know is great, right? And knowing I'm going to a person who the reception is going to be, another thing that's being sold to me. And it's those first 3 million people who say no. So it's not the comment section. That doesn't bother me so much. But it's a different version of the comments. Absolutely. Absolutely. So you end up, you just wait for the sure thing that everybody's incoming.
Yeah, but
it's really hard to just put it out there.
What you're talking about is what Donald Trump has reduced America to. What you're talking about is a high school hallway.
But that's where we live.
That's what the platforms are.
Yeah, that's what social media is.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that life is a high school hallway? Because I think when we have
you don't grow out
examples and leaders like Donald Trump, it is a high school hallway. But I think it's a bad thing. You say it's just a commonplace evolutionary what it is thing, right? I'm disagreeing. I think it's horrible that it's a high school hallway because high school hallways are mean. They're pointless. They're a waste of time, and they're just evil.
Yeah, but they're human. You know, high school. I mean, every age. If you look at a child from birth all the way through, they have all the characteristics of a person. They've just been here shorter. So how much do we really change from high school? and that whole thing of judging and belonging and rejecting and
Yeah, but
and,
where I wrote it off at is these are people who are not yet formed, who are trying to form, so they're grasping at straws.
what is formed though? I don't think it changes.
It's hurting my feelings.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Because you don't really go on there and see everything that goes on.
No, I don't.
That's good. Don't look at it.
Don't.
I
should.
know better. I learned to not read reviews.
Oh, that's great.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, you get it because you were in it with TV Guide, with the newspaper. See,
Right.
you've already had social media your whole life.
Right.
And now everyone else has social media. See, you were in social media when it was on paper.
Right.
He's right.
You're in a completely different generation where you were being followed when there was still print.
Yeah.
So you experienced it in a way that no one else got to experience it.
Yeah.
Almost like a tabloid type of.
Right. And now people
And I did. You're right.
Yeah.
Right. And now,
Print.
yeah. Yeah, we were just thinking, because Keaton really has a real grasp of stuff like, the stuff in the universe and outer space and just science, basically. And we were just thinking, we're just realizing everything that's broadcast is traveling somewhere. Everything, all your YouTube stuff and stuff will be seen and received and seen somewhere. And kind of like forever into infinity. Now, there was a time that wasn't true. There were no radio waves. There were no video waves. There were no waves at all.
Mm-hmm.
So now that has started and that's happened. And now it's everybody. So, I mean, it could be that we tune into some planet somewhere else and that, the people that are the biggest stars, U2 or whatever, is completely eclipsed by some guy who posted some cover song that he did and has 10 people who saw it on this planet. So who knows? So everybody has that ability now.
This is what happened.
Yeah.
When you were a major star in the 80s and stuff, you had to be chosen. Mm-hmm. How many auditions did you have to go to? Thousands, right? Million auditions.
Right.
Okay, now everyone has their own channel.
Yeah.
I have the Rebel Buddha Show. I can do whatever I want.
Yep.
But maybe not that many people will see it, but it will take a long time.
Yep.
And we choose ourselves. So I was talking to my friend the other day, and I'm like, you figured it out. You choose yourself.
Yeah.
And most people won't do it because they have a lot of shame.
Yeah.
Or they're insecure. But you just have to break free of it and say, like, I don't care at all.
What gave you your title, Rebel Buddha?
Do you know who the spiritually incorrect teacher Osho is?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was reading a book and it said, become a rebel Buddha.
Right.
And I was like, I'm in.
That's good. I love that.
So that's how I came up with it.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
So, because a Buddha is actually really rebellious. Like, Siddhartha, when he was 28, he left his family. He left a wife and a newborn baby to become an ascetic yogi and to leave the world behind. Like, he left behind the whole world. It's not... Buddha's really a punk rock person, but people don't understand. They just think of it as like a...
Well, because it's a deity, so yeah.
Right, but Buddha's almost just a man.
Yes, I know. I
so
like that.
It's just really confusing. People just are confused.
Yeah, people are definitely confused.
And Indian people don't like it at all, Rebel Buddha.
Yeah,
It's so funny.
Okay, I'm sorry. So you do read the comment section.
Well, no, like, for example, last night I was at this, like, Diwali thing at a yoga festival, and I was giving out my stickers, and it's a Buddha with a skull and crossbones.
Right. And people were like, oh my
no,
God.
this Indian girl was like, I don't want this.
Really? She actually said that?
I was like,
we'll take it.
Yeah, no, it made me happy. Like, I love when people
Thank
don't
you.
like my art,
I want
actually.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is great. We'll add it to this.
I'm gonna give you guys here,
Okay.
let's do you have anything else you want to share?
Let's see, we talked about the kids and about Natural Child. Natural Child is something you should check out too.
Okay.
Even though you're not a dad or anything yet, but
Let's talk about the fact that Donald Trump has split this country in two, and we have to ignore him and not be split in two.
in two.
Yeah, we
when
have
you
to-
say it's more like 90%
We
know
have to
that,
get
and then
back
there's this little tiny.
Together as a democratic force that loves freedom, loves kindness, loves sharing, loves integration, loves love. We have to get back to that. Well, Donald Trump has messed us up. Obama was taking us in the right direction. And now we have a guy who's just nasty. We need to not be nasty to each other. And my wife had taught me how to be unnasty, and
Unnasty.
and she's so not nasty, and I just want. I just every day I get up and I watch the Trump show because I'm entertained by the nastiness, even though I know it's because I have a problem. But if that's clear,
Even though you watch it, even though it makes you cringe.
I can't
I
watch.
can't watch
actually-
anything
No,
anymore.
I mean,
I actually
Yeah.
find it to
It's
be
painful.
solid entertainment. I really
And a lot of people do. A lot of people feel as you and I do, and a lot of people. The one thing that's interesting, I think, through the ages, we tend to go forward and backward at the same time, and it's really important to focus on that forward movement. For instance, we have a dear friend who's really a member of our family, who is now in his early 50s, has lived in this country since he was 18 years old, and because of the insanity of some bizarre thing of taking the planet and actually creating, I mean, we're with John Lennon, Imagine There Are No Countries. It was none of anybody's business to divide it up and say, you can't walk across this, you can't go to the other side of that table. I mean, what kind of bullshit is that? But so for his parents are aging, he has children and grandchildren all born here, and he will never see his parents again. If he goes there to see his parents, then he can't come back and see his kids and grandchild. So there's no reason for a human being to be in that position. It's absolutely obscene. It's a crime against everything. It's so ugly and hateful. And you have that on one hand, and it's actually worse than ever. And then you have now in casting and in our business and then in just people, there is going to be no distinguishable race, particular race. Within like 5 years, everybody's just going to be a big mushmash of everything.
Like me.
And like you, like really like everybody. I
Yeah.
mean, you know, and
everybody's going to be Coco Brown in about 5 minutes.
Mhm.
well, and then the way that we're casting, finally, we're doing what Joe Papp did years ago, which is just pick people for the parts. I mean, and so the door is wide open. So it's it's amazing because that is so overdue and so beautiful. And then this other thing is so horrific and so the opposite. But it's
And
like,
as an audience, I have to add, it is fun to watch when chicks lead the way.
and
It's
then
fun.
women, the whole thing, you know. So because there's still, think about it, like everything. I look at the breakdowns and all the roles are, let's say, female, and I mean there are very few like Caucasian males anymore, and yet
Yeah, we're done.
with the
Well, then now they're like heavy now.
yes, right,
Like Zach Galifianakis and
Absolutely.
Jonah Hill. They have to be either the best looking person or really fat.
right. I know, and same with women. But now they've just mixed it all up. But then at the same time, here we are, the United States of America. We've never had a female president. I mean, it's bizarre when you think about it. It's laughable.
Well, we always go opposites in our presidential voting. We always go opposites. Who's the opposite of Trump?
Right. So so we'll see what we do. But some of the people that we would love won't run, unfortunately.
Well,
Like Michelle Obama.
Michelle Obama. We love her to run.
But anyway, okay. So go ahead. So you wanted to say.
Oh, I don't.
Okay, you were saying, did we cover everything?
Yeah.
I think we covered a lot of.
Oh, I want to ask you a
Yes.
question about Batman. Okay, when you're like getting the coin flip with the Two-Face, and he's like, it helps your chances, and then you die. That's There's nothing.
Wow,
Maybe like you just it flips and then it just stops.
We don't know.
You are a movie geek, right?
Yeah.
Me too.
Okay.
Here's what you want to know.
Yeah.
We shot all the stuff in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Then all the stuff that takes place in Gotham City, we shot supposedly at Pinewood. But we got there, we didn't shoot at Pinewood. We shot 30 miles north of London at the old Zeppelin hangar. Now the old Zeppelin hangar has been closed since 1919, but they reopened it for Dark Knight. And in Dark Knight, they totally built Gotham City in the old Zeppelin hangar. So if you're a movie geek and you walk in, it's all Gotham City. The stores, the street lights, the traffic lights, the stuff,
Still.
the gutters, it's all Gotham City.
Oh, that's rad.
And it's so cool. It's like dying going to heaven if you're a movie geek. And it was the most fun I've ever had on a movie set.
So that was one of your favorite movies to make.
Oh yeah, to be a part of, yeah.
But you weren't in, like, did Did you do the stunt when they dropped you?
No, that was a stuntman. Paid
Okay.
lots of money.
Okay.
But he was there with Christian doing the first part. You know,
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
And you said in one interview, everything was great except Christian Bale's mean.
Yeah, he's mean.
What do you mean by that?
He wasn't mean at all on that set, but we've just read things about him. That's all.
But
Just like everybody.
he just was like...
He was a darling on that
Oh,
set.
okay.
Absolutely sweet. Everybody had their family there. He had his
We all
little
stayed at
girl.
the same hotel.
Okay.
We all stayed in the same. It was like camp. Maggie Gyllenhaal and Peter, who Eric just did a show with, and everybody was there. And
Stomari.
Aaron and no, not Stomari. Skarsgård and
Oh, I'm sorry.
and Christian was there, and Chris was there with Emma and all their kids. It was just, and it was really, it's cool when the staff gets used to you, Gary Oldman, you know, and then they don't go crazy anymore. You're just walking through the lobby. There were a few times that we all were at the concierge desk at the same time, and you know, at the beginning they were just like, wow. And then at this point they're like, excuse me, hold on a minute, I'm on a phone call with someone else, you know, and it's great. I mean, it's really an amazing experience. But you were asking, we don't know if Eric's character died.
Okay.
So there've been some rumblings and
Ooh,
stuff.
so there could be another one.
Yeah.
Well, we
Sequel, whatever.
we had an availability check for something once upon a time, didn't we?
Maybe. I don't know.
Ooh.
Maybe.
Can you pass me my backpack over there?
Mm-hmm.
That
This?
colorful one, that's
Yes.
so cute.
That's my print. I designed it.
Oh, that's amazing.
Thank you. These are some of my paintings.
Wow,
this is
you're
a
so
lotus Buddha, a
talented.
rebel angel, and a lion. And I want to give you guys some
Wow.
gear to say
Wow.
thank you for being on the
Oh,
show.
that's
Stuff.
so cool.
Yeah, I
Oh
got
my
stuff.
god, look at you. You're Santa Claus with
So
your,
yeah,
with your...
I want to give you this
sled.
towel. I'll give.
Wow.
So
So
you can have this
happening.
towel.
Rebel
Oh,
Buddha.
that's so
lion.
neat. Look at you.
And then, do
Oh,
you like
yes.
red or black shirts?
He likes red.
I like them both.
You like both?
And I do. So whatever you give me is
Let's
fine.
see. Let's see if I have what size I have. You're large,
I'm whatever you give me.
medium, or large?
I'm whatever you give
You
me.
choose.
I'm
You have to
whatever you
choose,
give me.
Eric.
We'll get the large.
Okay, that's great.
Okay, there
Thank
we
you.
go.
Yeah,
very
the
much.
Rebel Buddha
Thank you.
T-shirt.
These are great.
Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
The leggings do really well. That's like my best selling item.
Yeah, then that's what you use for it. It's wonderful.
Yoga.
You use them for yoga.
Yeah.
That's so cool. These
Little-
are all amazing.
My little merch store after
Yeah.
each class.
Thank
Look
you
at
for
you.
that.
Yeah, you're
That's so
welcome.
nice
Really
of you.
nice.
Thank you for being on the
Yes,
show.
yeah, and we'll tell our kids to watch, of course. They are.
Yeah.
Rebel Buddha.
Yes.
All right. So thank you so much for tuning into the show. Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste.